Welcome to the Deep Dive. You've tuned in because you're curious, and today we're really plunging into the story as a song, one that just refuses to fade away, Unchained Melody.
That's right. We've pulled together some really fascinating pieces, info from the Songwriters Hall of Fame, fan discussions, concert reviews, especially focusing on Elvis Presley.
Yeah, so our mission, if you like, is to try and figure out why this song, born way back in 1955, still has such incredible staying power.
Exactly. And we're particularly looking at Elvis's connection to it, right there in his final years. Why did his versions hit so hard? What was going on with him that maybe fed into that?
Okay, so let's set the scene. 1955, there's this fairly low-key prison movie called Unchained.
Probably not many people remember the film itself.
Right, but he gave us this song. Alex North did the music, Heizert wrote the lyrics, and that's the title, right? Unchained Melody.
Yeah, from the film. Todd Duncan actually sang it in the movie.
So what's wild is how this song from a movie most people haven't seen just took off. It broke free, you could say.
It really did. It became a standard almost immediately. And I mean, a real standard. We're talking, over 1,500 recordings?
Wow.
Yeah, by more than 670 different artists, different languages, everything. It just shows that core appeal.
And the charts back then in 55.
Yeah.
Just crazy. You have 3 different versions. Les Baxter, Al Hibbler, Roy Hamilton, all in the Billboard Top 10 in the U.S.
At the same time.
At the same time. I mean, can you imagine that today?
It's almost unthinkable. It really shows how different the music scene was, how a song could just land and resonate across different styles.
But the UK was even more intense, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah. 4 versions. Al Hibbler, Les Baxter again, Jimmy Young, and Liberace. All in the UK top 20 simultaneously.
No way.
Yeah, apparently that was a record. It stood until, 2014.
That's incrediid. And didn't it hit #1 multiple times with different artists over there?
It did. It was the only song to reach #1 with 4 different recordings in the UK until Band Aid 30 did it with Do They Know It's Christmas. So early on, this song was already a phenomenon.
It makes you wonder, what is it? What's in the DNA of that melody and those lyrics?
It's got to be those universal themes, right? Longing, love, time passing slowly when you're apart.
Yeah, everyone gets that.
Exactly. It taps into something fundamental.
Okay, so fast forward about 10 years. July 1965.
Right? The Righteous Brothers.
And for so many people, this is the version. Bobby Hatfield solo.
Just
chills.
Absolutely iconic. That became the jukebox standard, the one everyone put their money in to hear.
Jukebox standard. Yeah, that really meant something back then. It showed a song was just everywhere.
And what's interesting is that Hatfield actually tweaked the melody a little bit.
Oh, really?
Just in that final verse. A slightly different phrasing, maybe holding a note differently. It's subtle, but it adds this extra layer of emotional intensity.
And that stuck.
It really did. A lot of later covers kind of picked up on Hatfield's way of doing it. It became part of the song's sort of public evolution.
And then, boom, much later, it just exploded again.
1990, the movie Ghost.
Right. That pottery scene. Suddenly, a whole new generation is hearing Unchained Melody, and it's back on the charts.
It's amazing how film can do that, isn't it? Just recontextualize a song.
And a totally new life.
Yeah. And it's cemented its status. In 2004, the American Film Institute ranked it number 27 on their list of top movie songs.
So decades later, still making waves. Okay, so we've got this incredible journey. Obscure film theme becomes a standard, gets the iconic Righteous Brothers treatment, then a huge movie revival.
A pretty amazing path for one song.
Definitely. So now let's pivot. Let's talk about Elvis Presley. Because in his final chapter, he brought something really, really personal to it.
He did. He started performing it in concert in his last year, 77, often just sitting at the piano and singing it.
Which must have been quite a moment, and he shows that.
Oh, absolutely. It was a period where, his health was visibly failing. The shows could be, uneven.
Right.
But his performances of Unchained Melody, they often stood out, like these moments of just raw brilliance cutting through everything else.
And we actually have recordings of this, specific ones people can listen to.
We do. There are 2 really key ones. There's one from a show in Ann Arbor, Michigan, April 24th, 1977.
Okay.
That one ended up on the Moody Blue album, although they added some extra backing to it later in the studio.
Okay. And the other one?
The other big one is from Rapid City, South Dakota. That was June 21st, 1977.
Just a couple of months later.
Yeah.
Oh.
And that version was released as a single, and it was also the one used in the TV special Elvis in Concert.
So these recordings, they really capture that moment.
They really do. They give you a powerful sense of his connection to the song right then.
And how did people react at the time? Critics, fans.
Well, the reaction was often pretty intense. Many critics, even those who might have been critical of other parts of the shows, described his Unchained Melody as, remarkable.
Really?
Yeah, they talked about hearing his vocal power with this kind of freedom, this raw emotion that maybe hadn't been heard on his records for a while.
And fans.
Oh, the fans. Many accounts talk about people being incredibly moved, sometimes to tears. There's a definite feeling among some fans that his version, maybe because of that vulnerability, hits deeper than even the Righteous Brothers one.
Wow. That's saying something. Maybe it was that vulnerability itself, seeing this larger-than-life figure being so open.
I think that's a huge part of it, that sense of shared humanity, perhaps. But it's also complicated because, as you know, reviews of the overall tour were mixed.
Right. I remember reading about some shows like maybe Cincinnati around that same time, June 77.
Exactly. Some reviews mentioned his physical state, maybe some mumbling between songs, relying heavily on the old hits. The decline was noticeable to some.
So it wasn't all perfect.
Definitely not. It was a complex picture. But even within those tougher reviews, you often find mentions of Unchained Melody as being a real standout, a moment where the magic was still undeniably there.
Like the Ann Arbor show you mentioned from April 77, that's often cited as being pretty strong for that time.
Yes. It is. It shows he could still really deliver when he connected with the material. And with Unchained Melody, it seems like he almost always connected.
So even with the health struggles being visible, the voice.
The voice, yeah. When he sang that song, it often seemed to retain that incredible power, that ability to just captivate. The emotion felt so real, so sincere.
It sounds like for the fans who were there or who listen to those recordings now, there's a kind of haunting beauty to it.
That's a really good way to put it. Haunting beauty. It's like his personal struggles were somehow channeled into the song, making it incredibly poignant. It feels like a testament to his commitment, still giving his all.
And then there's the timing. Rolling Stone apparently called it the last great moment of his career.
Yeah, performing it just 2 months before he died.
Yeah.
It adds another layer entirely.
Those lyrics, lonely rivers flow, time goes by so slowly. They take on a whole different weight, don't they?
They absolutely do. That longing, that sense of time, it feels almost eerily resonant knowing what was coming. It's hard not to hear it through that lens.
And apparently, the song meant a lot to him personally, even before he performed it live.
That's what the sources suggest, that he'd been singing it informally, maybe just for himself or friends, for years.
So it wasn't just something he picked up for the tour.
No, it seems like there was a deeper, longer connection. And then there's that story, almost certainly apocryphal in parts maybe, but powerful.
Which one?
That it was one of the very last songs he played. On the piano in the racquetball court building at Graceland on the morning he died.
Wow. If that's true.
Right. Whether it's exactly true or not, the fact that the story exists and persists tells you how significant that song became for his legacy, especially for the fans. It sort of seals its importance.
So wrapping this all up, Elvis's version of Unchained Melody, particularly in those last months, it's like a lens, isn't it?
It really is a complex emotional lens. Through it, you see the song's own enduring power, sure, but you also see Elvis himself, his vulnerability, his struggles, but also that undeniable lingering talent. It really makes you think, doesn't it? How an artist's own life, their own pain sometimes, can merge with a piece of art, with a timeless song like this.
And deepen it. Create something entirely new, almost.
Exactly. Creating this connection with the audience that's just unforgettable. It leaves you pondering that intersection of life, art, and raw human emotion.
Definitely gives you a lot to think about long after the music fades. Thanks so much for diving deep with us today.
My pleasure.
Until our next exploration on The Deep Dive.